video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can use the TensorFlow in your browser. So when you say browser, it's about a web application. You may be writing pure HTML5 based application like HTML or React or whatever the programming language you are using, Java, Python, whatever. If you have a web based application, you can add a few lines of JavaScript code and you can bring the power of machine learning into your web application. So this video is primarily going to cover writing a simple HTML5 web application, the same code you can use in any of your programming language where you have a HTML template. The idea here, I'm going to present some of the prediction models. For example, if you take a cricketer, maybe Virat Kohli, you wanted to find out his what will be his score in the upcoming years or in upcoming match. The machine learning can predict for you. I hope it's pretty interesting. Let's go to the demo process. Before getting into that, I'll also talk about a few words about TensorFlow. You all know that TensorFlow is developed by Google and it is open source, which means you can use this in any of your application, or if you are building a commercial application, it's open source, you can use it. And the TensorFlow is being the primary machine learning engine behind all Google products. So which means you all know that this is continually evolved and Google is investing a lot and creating this framework, and it is open source for you. That's a great benefit. And TensorFlow available in many languages. It is in Python or a Java or whatever the programming language you are using. You can connect a TensorFlow native extensions in order to use. So I kickstart this with HTML because most of you could associate with some form of web application, so that you can quickly connect this example. So if you are a HTML developer, I hope you have any Tomcat or Apache or Nginx kind of web server. So let's go ahead and create one of the folder in your computer. I mean wherever your web server is. So in my case, my web server is here, and I'm going and creating a TensorFlow HTML. Okay, just open this um, in your visual. I mean whatever the code editor that you are using. I mean in my case, I'm using um, Visual Code Studio. This is really awesome IDE. So let's go numbers are cricket score prediction .html. Just create it and save. I mean this, you all know that this is a plain HTML, and any HTML has some kind of basic code, right? The beginning and the end. Let's code and type them. Body of the thing, and of course close the HTML. All right. So we just created a basic the HTML, the template structure. All right. Okay, this is fine. And then because TensorFlow is available as a you know JavaScript, you can go ahead and install TensorFlow.js HTML CDN. I mean you can just go ahead and use it, and they have a getting started, and go here, and you have some latest code, a copy and paste in your under your head. Okay, under your head tab. And similar, okay, I think this one is more than enough. You all know that because of the plain HTML we are writing, um, jQuery would be helpful in order to use some of the DOM manipulation. I mean, in this era, I don't know how much jQuery would be useful after the React, but still it is HTML. I will use the jQuery. jQuery is, it's very powerful in terms of managing the HTML DOM. All right. So we just created, right? And can we have, let's say, one of the div or and h1, let's say cricketer, sorry, cricketer. I'm not into cricket at all, sorry. Virat Kohli score prediction. All right, just type some word, whatever the title you wanted to, and okay, let's keep this poet, right? Now, in order to predict in any machine learning, the machine should know what someone's score, right? What someone performance in the history, maybe in a year, how many time, I mean, how many, um, you know, the matches he joined and what is his score in terms of bowling or in terms of batting and all those things. You need some data in order to machine to learn the player so that it will predict in the future how the particular player can perform. Okay, so prediction is all about having data and predict the future data. Okay, so I mean the next part is that let's go ahead and write the machine learning part. All right, you all know, right? Type a script, type text slash JavaScript. Okay, just close, and as usual just start with some function, I would say prediction, right? So we are going to create the TensorFlow model. I'm using the const variable, the model equal to TF. So the TF is really coming from this particular TensorFlow. All right, TensorFlow.c. There are two types of model. So if you all very new to the machine learning space, I'll try to make it very simple. Maybe it is funny, but it's very easy to understand. Model is actually a brain in a high level word, like how our brain performs, right? The various things. But in a simple language, model is nothing but a file. Okay, you may have some PDF file, you may have some PowerPoint file or a Word file, right? When you open the PPT or PowerPoint file into the Microsoft PowerPoint, you see the visually some kind of slides. But if you open the same PowerPoint in the Notepad, or if you open your Word document into your Notepad file, you see some kind of encrypted or some kind of chunk character which you cannot read, correct? So why you can't see the same way what you see in the Word document or PPT in your Notepad? Because Notepad cannot understand the whatever the structure the Word document hold inside of the file. So likewise, model is nothing but a file, but it has a lots of detail about the neural network. It does some sort of the um, human knowledge. Okay, so I mean, at this point, just keep it like this. Model is nothing but a file of neural network. Okay, so there are two types of model in the TensorFlow, and I'm going to, let's say, create the one called sequential. This is the most prominent model, NTIL. Sorry about that. The auto code compilation pop-ups. Okay, I know in HTML there is no better what is that, autocomplete tools. That's the reason I would recommend you to move React. I will create the same prediction model using the React also. I'll link that video separately. Okay, let's focus here. And now we created a model. So whenever we define a model, so the model should be added with some basic configuration. So it should be tf dot a model and tensorflow dot layers dot dense. So we are going to tell the network that what is the size of my brain. Okay, it has some basic property. Okay, so if you are creating some image, you are saying that what is the height and width of the image, right? So whenever you create model, you need to put some size. Okay, I'm going to say it as a units of 1, and the input shape, I mean I'm going to give my input in some shape, right? So I'm going to say my input shape is it is one dimension array. Okay, in TensorFlow, please note that everything is I mean, like a array. Okay, so tensor is nothing but an array. Okay, so like in your regular programming, you use integer. I mean, if you are a JavaScript developer, mostly you will use a variable or a constant or a const or lit, right? Or a Python developer, you don't even worry about a data type. So you just create a variable name and you assign a value. But if you're a .NET developer or a Java developer or any other procedural language developer, you don't know that the integer, float, double, date, array, string. So every variable has a certain declaration, right? Like a data type. So even in a MySQL, you define the data type. So likewise, in TensorFlow, there are some variable types, but most of them are array. Okay. So now we defined what is my neural network property. So I'm going to give some input shape as just one dimension array, and then I'm going to compile my model. Okay, model dot compile. Um, let's say I'm going to say like. These are all some property. I mean, you need to refer the TensorFlow, and there are some method they have: mean squared, RD error, comma optimizer. I mean, these are all the things you can even copy paste from the TensorFlow website. Okay, because this is just example. This is the way you need to configure and some defaults. Um, and once you're done, okay, so just a few more lines. We are going to pull the um, you know the cricketer score. Now we need to load the constant, and we need to say, can we say score? um, I would say the score must be not just a number. Whatever you create for as a data to the TensorFlow, it should be the tensor variable. Okay, so I'm going to say tf, it is tensor 2D, and it is going to be some array. This is the way you need to define the input. Okay, and this is a year, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to train the machine that machine year wise score that uh, Mr. Virat Kohli has scored, and then I will ask the machine to predict what will be the upcoming year score. Okay, so that's idea. Now, and so we will talk about this particular part, and let me finish the uh, I think, I mean, just a few more lines. Okay, um, let's load this. Wait, um, model dot fit and the score, comma here, and we need to say epochs. So epochs um, is nothing but, if you say 1, when I push the data, how many times the machine should learn the data, like iteration. If you provide a data, if you just train the data with just one iteration, maybe your prediction wouldn't be much closer. Even the data is the same, and if you are training 1,000 times, I mean, in the sense of, it's like this is nothing but a loop. Okay, with the same data, the machine is going to train itself 1,000 times again. You all know that when you are a you know uh, elementary school, the multiplication tables, we would have learned multiple times the same 2 into 2 table or 2 into 3 table, I mean 3 table or 4 table or whatever the table. We read multiple time in order to memorize, right? Likewise, we are telling the machine to use the same data and learn 1,000 times. It's a it's a punishment. You read 1,000 times so that the machine can learn. A machine can read the same data 1,000 times so that it will memorize very much. Okay, so for in our case, let's say 250 times. I mean, this is very important. You need to make sure the machine read multiple times, because this process is little, it will take little longer in order to compile, so it requires await. So if you use await, it's better you use a uh, asynchronous, right? So it will make sure it will wait until it read 250 times. Okay, so that's it. Now we done the prediction, and the final result is we are going to see model dot predict and tf dot tensor 2D, sorry, tensor 2D, and we are going to give some input to the machine. So as I told you, right, tensor 2D will have a 2 dimension. So I'm getting 2 array. I'm going to feed the value, of course. Okay, and then I'm going to print the value. That's it. So now this is not complete. We are going to fill the data, correct? I have some interesting data for you. I have a website where the cricketer data has been recorded historically. So here I'm going to take the cricketer Virat Kohli and his you know run rates year wise. All right, just go ahead and copy this. I mean, please note that in your use case, maybe you are a stock trader, you can go and predict the stock, the performance, or if you have a product, your product has some numbers and that you wanted to predict. So whatever it could be, just go ahead and take your data and try to train the system. So here I'm going to, I'm trying to, um, format this better, because when I copy paste something comes here incorrect, I'm going to fix it. All right, I'm going to replace uh, the year, something like year to nothing, replace all right. Okay, so this is the data we have. Okay, so now what are we going to train the machine is, we are going to train the machine saying, hey, Virat Kohli is scoring, let's say 202 run in the year of 2011, and 689 in the year of 2020 2012. So something like that we are going to train the machine. Once we train, we can ask a question to the machine, what could be the run in terms of year 2025 or 2028 or something like that. You all wonder, okay, hey, what is here? Can I just go and take the average and put some average rank? No, machine learning is not just going to give any average. It is really going to find the pattern in a long shot, and it will really predict very close, unless otherwise there is a drastic change in the input. Say Virat Kohli become a Superman and he train a lot and he become even more powerful, and maybe it will change. Otherwise, the run rate will uh, really go as per the performance. So here you see, so it started well and it is going very peak, and in the recent past it is kind of decreasing. See, I'm not giving any comment here, but I'm just representing the data the way I understood. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this and go back to your code. So in order to do, I'll keep the data separate. Okay, let's do find the data. Let's do a small function where our const raw data. Please note that I'm going to put this in the eval code, because this is going to be a tabular data, because we cannot put it into the double quote, right? Just copy paste here in this format, and you see all things coming well. Okay, maybe this space will definitely will disturb in our use case. Okay, Let's go and remove them. All right. Okay, so we just copy paste the raw data. All right. So once we copy pasted, what we can do, we need to really parse this and take only these two columns, right? I mean, if your data has a different structure, you can find a way to process your data. In my case, I'm going to really use see, I mean, I really find some of the trying to find some of the JavaScript based parser which can convert the TSV into JSON, or I wanted to pull some of the columns. In the whole data we need only this column and this column, right? We don't need any of that. So I'm trying to parse. If you are a Python developer, you all know that the pandas is a really really powerful tool in terms of Python to do the lot of data work for you. But I try to find a similar in JavaScript. There are plenty tools out there, but I'm not still satisfying. So I'm going to use the D3. Please note that the purpose of the D3 is entirely different. You have any sort of data, CSV or TSV or JSON, whatever the data you have, the D3 can do any visualization, something like a chart, a graph, or whatever. This is pretty amazing tool, but here I'm sorry, I'm just going to use this as one of the utility function where I'm going to parse my data to the something like I just wanted to parse this raw data to my program. Okay, so I'm going to use some kind of TSV parse option. I'm saying that TSV because if you see that there is a tab in every single column, correct? That's called a tab. So that's a tab separated input is what I have. Okay, so const TSV equal to D3 day parse, and let's say raw data. Okay, so let's go ahead and find what I get. Okay, so this is our function from the raw data. Let's see what we get out of it. um, let's go on inspect, right click, refresh, and you see find data. I get from the raw data. Now I got the very structured JSON, right? So from there I can do some map function in order to collect the data. I think we can remove this particular one, right? So this column is something here. Okay, let's better remove the 2023 because I mean I'm writing this code in the year of 2023, so this year is incomplete data, so we should not train the machine with incorrect, which is fine. But because this is very few year data, I believe that this would disturb the value, so I remove this. All right, and then okay, let's do refresh and go and find out. Okay, we have a 12 rows with all the 12 rows. We have a proper the year and run, something like that. Okay, the year and run. Okay, so how do we get the data? Let's go ahead and const years equal to tsv dot map each. Sorry about this autocomplete, it is annoying me, but I'll try to turn it off later. Okay, here I'm pulling the year alone and the runs. Okay, I'm pulling this from this particular. Okay, I'm trying to construct an array of these values. Okay, I just because it is currently captured as a string right within a quote, I just multiply this by 1, so I will get the integer. Okay, now return this, return years as years and runs as run. Okay, so now we got the find data. Go back to your code and here let's call constant data equal to find data, right? We will get the JSON here. Can we collect the here? Okay, so how do we need to do here? So in terms of I'll put the year maybe top. Okay, we need to represent See, we need to put all this here, something like this. I mean, maybe after with a comma separator, and all the run um, in this array. Okay, so not like this. That we anyway we already have here, right? So remove this and put a years. Okay, so here we need to say how many years are there in this particular array. So this is the array, right? So here we are getting an array something like this: 2011, 2022, 2023, sorry, 2012 and 2013, something like that is what the array is going to be added here. Okay, and we need to say what is the length of this array. Okay, we see that in our case it is a 12 rows. Okay, instead of typing 12, be dynamic. So I'm saying that length comma, it is a one dimension array. Okay, so we done the year, and let's do the same for the runs also, right? So runs, and do the runs. Okay, so make sure both are the same length, right? So the 12 year and 12 runs. So here we will put it like runs. Okay, so in this case year is our input, correct? So let's put the year first. Okay, and the score, that is a run, is what we are going to predict. Say year is the input, run is output. So we will predict something like, okay, let's in our data something like up to 2022 we have. Okay, let's go ahead and predict for 2023. Okay, 3, and of course this is the one array and one dimension. Let's do a print. Okay, I think we done everything. All right, we done. So let's go ahead and compile and see the error. Sorry, see the of course everything get into the error initially, and then we will try to find and fix. Okay, let's go and run. So let's do predict. Okay, right now it will print in the command prompt itself. We'll try to put some input later. Okay, let's see whether we could resolve this. Let's do predict. Okay, I see this, there is a error, mean square. Okay, I'm sorry, I think there is a spelling error, SQUA squared error. Okay, let's go here and run this. Okay, model, I'm so sorry, I see, I'm completely wrong. This is the reason I always use the IDE. The IDE will suggest a lot. This kind of silly error wouldn't happen. Visual Code Studio is fantastic. However, I don't see a best tool to do the autocomplete for any kind of this kind of the CDN or a hosted JavaScript based um, autocomplete. So this is a problem. I think that there is no best editor I find so far. Predict. Okay, so in the prediction it gives nothing. Okay, because um I mean, sure, I expected it has to predict some. Let's say here we have up to 2022. I mean, we loaded up to 2022, we predict 2023 or maybe 2024, but it is not predicting. Even we train the same data with the 250 times, but still it is a result of nothing, right? So sometimes the problem is um, in our data set when we do this SGD, sometimes when it is training the data multiple times, um, the loss would be huge because our data set has some numbers, right? When you do the multiple iteration, the data can go loss heavily. So instead of this, we can do less loss. I mean, these are all the various parameter in the machine learning. Okay, so this is a kickstart for you so that you can understand what should you correct. So that we are selling TensorFlow that train with the SGD. Okay, but the learning rate, because we should not put a heavy rate so that the loss will be heavy. We'll put the heavy rate, the learning rate very smaller. So which means do the error minimally. So this is like, you can put any range. I'm putting very, very, very minor error you uh, when there is a loss in the training. I mean, those are all the concept in the machine learning space. I'm putting the very less error rate. Let's go and predict now. Let's do predict. Come on. Okay, it said something, but something we can't believe, right? So because we see year and year, it's a run rate runs. Okay, in the year of 2024, when we ask, it provides a data of something like something is okay. Now it is okay. This time is training good. Okay, so if you see this particular training is perfect, and you can preserve this training, and further you can use it. So I will explain how you can uh, store the trained model in the memory, so that every time you need not to train. Okay, say for example, you all know that in the browser, whenever you open the every single line of the code will get executed, which means every time it is going to train the same data 250 times. I mean, which is really too much, and overload to the browser. That's the reason I would say, once you train, and you can keep the model into the local storage of the browser. If you are not familiar with the local storage, please go and watch the other video about local storage, how to store anything into local storage and get it. The another video I posted. So I'll show you how to save it and run. Okay, in a few minutes. Let's go and do again predict, and let's see whether we get something. Okay, this prediction is not really good, and again, that's what, like, however we read, right, there are sometimes our scores are we are not doing right, so we need to keep on training the data and find something very closer, and then you save that model. All right, so go ahead and predict. Something is really again wrong. Okay, so let's not worry about it. um, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and add some HTML element to it. All right, so here let's do input ID, input value equal to nothing, ah, and button on click, prediction, prediction. That's what we have, right? Yeah, prediction. Let's say predict. Okay, let's do the result, something like that. Put some ID here. I mean, these are all the pure HTML stuff. Okay, just instead of putting the 2024, um, you know, dynamic, better, we sorry, static, we can go and put something dynamic. Okay, const user input equal to these are all the jQuery, right? Input dot val and multiply by 1, and go and put it like this. Okay, so pass this input to the variable, and when you get the output, you want it to really print, right? So this model will really print in the console. So let's go ahead and type something like predict, and I mean, I'm going to capture that prediction in a variable, so that I can print that into the HTML. Okay, so then const data or predict prediction, predict dot data sync dot data see. Okay, once you get it, that this prediction will get let's go ahead and print this, and let's see how it comes out. Console dot log, right? to refresh, open the console, and I'm sorry about that, prediction. You see this is what getting printed here. This is basically an array, and in that, see, I mean, let's find out where the data is. I mean, the first array itself is the data, right? So now how do we print this? Let's go and in the result element, result dot html, or the prediction, okay? Prediction runs, predicted runs in the year of user input is is this prediction. Okay, I'm just interpolating the values, variables. All right, all done. We can maybe remove this. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh. We don't need this console anymore. All right, 2024. Let's do predict. Okay, so the prediction is in the year of 2024. The prediction, I mean, cricketer Virat Kohli can, or may get the run rate of 673.8. I mean, if you wanted to round off this with, you can, JavaScript, you can round off about it. So this way you can go and type any year and get the prediction of cricketer Virat Kohli scores. Okay, so, and save this trained model into the you know a local storage and reuse it forever rather than retraining. Okay, so in order to do that, there are two lines of code you need to write. Okay, let's do await model dot save, and I'm going to save this under local storage, um, cricketer Virat Kohli. Okay, and this is the line we need to save, and this is the line we need to, I mean, we can read. Okay, tf, I would say that const pre-trained or trained model equal to, sorry, tf dot um, load layers model. Okay, so just cut this. Okay, you see, right, here I'm saving. As soon as it is processed, so at the beginning of the line, I'm just going and putting this line, and maybe we need to move few lines there, and remove this one from here. We can put it at the beginning. Okay, so what we can do, if local storage dot get item of, um, so we run a, we saved here, we copied here, right? Did we delete it? Okay, here it is. So if the local storage has this particular item, then load the model from the existing memory rather than retraining at every iteration of input. Sorry, this is a simple JavaScript, nothing to do with machine learning. So I'm just taking the input here itself to avoid the duplicate line. After the model is trained, I'm saving that into the browser's local storage. Okay, then once it is trained, whenever, I mean, the next iteration, when user gives then another input, it again goes to the same function, but this time it check whether this particular item is in the local storage. If it is already there, it is loading from the local storage instead of going entire retraining process, and using the existing trained model, it is just predicting the new input rather than recreating the training. That's it. Okay, let's go ahead and do this now. um, All right, so 2024 to predict. This is the first time it will go and predict the, I mean, give the training and test, and it will save into the local storage. And every time when we go and hit the new set of question, let's say predict for 2030, it will give the prediction from the existing data model. Okay, so because it's just, I mean, this is about prediction. Okay, so please try to understand that the machine learning is works based on the large set of existing data, and based on that it just predict the value. Okay, so the prediction will be maybe closer to the appropriate or closer to the result, but it is not really exact. Okay, so here I'm not really predicting the cricketers Virat Kohli risk, I mean run in the year of 2030. I'm just taking the data as a purpose of train the machine and do, I mean, to in order to predict. So I hope you enjoy this video, and please, if you have any question, feel free to post in the comment section. And if you wanted to talk to me, please feel free, you use the channel description where you have my calendar. You can schedule a calendar with me, and we can talk to, I mean, we can talk in a conference somewhere. Okay, so I mean in a video conference and somewhere. So again, bye.